Hello, this is our tutorial on subtracting integers, and we previously looked at adding integers, and now we're going to look at subtracting integers. And I am going to model this first one on a number line, but then I'm going to show y'all a rule or talk about a rule with subtracting integers, or really it's for adding integers that we can apply to the rest of the examples. So on this first line, I've already got my number line set up. I'm going to start off the way I did before. I highlight the first number. So that's -2, and I'll locate it on my number line. Here it is. And then the second number is where it tells me the direction I'm going to travel. Now that says minus or take away, which means it should be getting, if you're taking stuff away, it should be getting smaller. So that would mean I would need to go to the left on my number line because the left side is where you go to get to your smaller numbers. So for the negative, from the -2, I'm going to go 10 spaces to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I end up right here at the -12. Now, it just so happens that subtraction is the same thing as adding a negative. So I can change this minus symbol to a plus symbol, and then I attach a negative to the 10. And you would go about starting it the same way. So I'm just going to erase my little directional arrow. I'm going to use a different highlighter. And now I'm going to highlight in, let's say, green, still starting with the -2. So it's right here. But now it's sort of like, okay, now I'm adding a -10. And normally you would think, well, if you're adding, you're going to the right. But remember that 10's a negative, and a negative can also be read as opposite. So I don't need to go to the right, I need to go the opposite. I'm still going to go back to the left. And now I'm going to go back to the left, and I'm going to go 10 spaces again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And just like before, I still end up on the -12. So either way, my answer ends up being the -12. Now, it just so happens that since subtraction can be written as an addition problem where you attach a negative when you change the subtraction symbol to an addition symbol, there are some addition rules. And one of the addition rules says if you're adding numbers with the same sign, so I'm going to change those to both positive, like 2 plus 10, and we know 2 plus 10 is 12, but we have a +2, a +10, our answer is also positive. Now if we look at the way it's written above, again, the signs are all the same. If the signs of the problem are both negative, well, then your answer is also negative. So we can apply that to another problem. Let's say we have -5 plus -3. Okay, we add the numbers like normal, but since the numbers in the problem are negative, so is the answer. So that's sort of an addition rule. Now, one of the interesting things about addition is that if you change it so that only one of the numbers is negative, you don't end up adding anymore, you actually end up subtracting. And we saw that with when we did the number line. So if I say changed this second problem here and put a 2 plus a -10, I'm no longer going to add and get a 12. I can start off at the 2, but then I'm going to move to the left 10 spaces. And if I start off, I'm going to show you here at the 2 and move to the left 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I end up right here at the -8. Whereas if I switch it and make the 10 the positive and the 2 the negative, then I would need to elongate my number line here. There's the 10. I'm going to start at the 10 and go 2 to the left. 1, 2. Oh, I end up at the +8. Well, that's because when you're adding and they're two different signs, your answer could be positive or your answer could be negative. So look at your numbers and think, how far away from 0 is this? Well, 2 is only 2 spaces from 0. 10 is 10 spaces, -10 is 10 spaces from 0. So this is more spaces from 0. Whichever number is more spaces from 0, the answer will match the sign of that number. Since 10 was negative, the answer 8 should also be negative. Same thing on the bottom little example. The positive 10 is more spaces from 0, and now it's positive, so my answer is the positive 8. And the same is true with the 5 and the 3. If I change it and I make one of them positive, so let's say I make the 5 positive. Now I'm no longer going to be adding, you're actually going to subtract. And just think of what 5 and 3, when you're subtracting, you end up with a 2. But which one's more spaces from a 0? Well, 5 is 5 spaces from 0. Negative 3 is 3 spaces. So the 5 is more spaces from 0. So since it's positive, then your answer is going to match that. It's going to be a positive 2. And if we changed it and made the 5 negative, you're still going to subtract. So still just think 5 minus 3, that's 2. But negative 5 is 5 spaces away. 3 is 3 spaces away. So negative 5 is still more spaces. Since it's now negative, the 2 is going to end up being negative. So it really matters which one is more spaces away. So now we're going to look at example 2. Now we've got a minus. Remember, if you've got a minus, you can change that to addition, but you have to attach a negative. Well, if I change this to addition and I attach a negative, then it's like I've got a double negative here, and a double negative actually makes a positive. So now I've got negative 2 plus 10. And if you want to rewrite it without all the pluses, it would look like that. So now just think about subtracting. Just think of a 10 plus a 2. Minus a 2. So just think 10 minus 2. Okay, that's going to give me 8. Now, which one is more spaces away? The 10 is more spaces from 0. The 10 is positive, so the 8 needs to be positive. And let's look at this final one down here. Okay, so I've got 2 minus 10. I can change the minus to a plus, but then I have to attach the negative. Now I'm not adding anymore, so just subtract. 10 minus 2 is 8. But just like we showed before, the negative 10 is more spaces away from 0. So the answer on the 8 has to match that. And it was the 10 was negative, so the 8 needs to be negative. So really, when you've got one positive and one negative, what you're doing is subtracting, but the sign of your answer matches whichever number in the problem is more spaces away from 0.